So I listened to you on another interview, and you talked about, I think, going to law school in the evening. And that's like, for me, it's not just a New York story, but that's very much someone, hustling in New York, trying to make their way. What was the decision? I mean, first of all, did you imagine when you were younger that law would be a path? And once you made that commitment, were there doubts, or were you in it 100%?
Oh, there are still doubts now. I did not have a clear career path, definitely through college. You try to figure out areas where you may succeed. I was told that I had decent communication skills, speaking, writing. Okay, lawyer is in that world. So I sent some law school applications out, not even sure if I was going to go to law school. I actually had another job working in an assembly person's office. And I started, because I wanted to kind of be in the real world, like start working. And it was great. I got a studio apartment in the city, and I was working. I felt like an adult. It was fun being in the city, being 21 and in the city.
That's crazy.
And I decided to start going to law school at night. And listen, I wasn't a stellar student, but it actually wasn't as difficult as I thought the grind would be. Like, I got up, I walked, and then I ended up working at a law firm. I changed jobs where I was working in a law firm that was walking distance from my apartment. So I'd get up, I'd walk to the firm, I'd work there. It was a great place to work. They were incredibly supportive of me. And then I'd jump on the 456 train down to New York Law School, right? I'd leave at 5, I'd get there for my 6 o'clock class. I'd be there until past 9 o'clock. And then I'd usually stay out another too many hours, and rinse and repeat. Yeah.
And how long how long do you do that law school for? A couple years?
Well, if you go regular full-time during the day,
Right.
It's 3 years. Evening programs typically 4. I finished in 3.5 because I took classes during the summer, so I accelerated a little bit. And then, again, I don't know why I decided to do this. That's the repeating theme. I hung my own shingle, as they say. I started my own firm. Now, there would be no
Ballsy,
chance. It was scary.
Yeah.
It was scary. I felt like it was the right path for me. I would not have been able to do it if the law firm that I worked for during law school did not support me. They gave me an office. They gave me support. And, I continued to do some work for them. And I kind of built my practice by learning how to try cases. One of the ways I did was that there was a judge that got to know me in the Southern District of New York, because I would come in on court cases with the attorneys, and he kind of learned about what I was doing. And he would call me when there was what's called a pro se plaintiff, someone who was unrepresented by counsel. It was coming to trial, and sort of whether they wanted counsel or not at that point, the judge would be like, you need an attorney to try a federal court case. So I would try these cases, and I would kind of learn on the go, and it was a great way to learn. I've tried a lot of cases in my career, and it's something I really enjoy.
So what are what kind of law are you mostly focused in?
I do a fair amount of things, which is a little unusual today. People tend to be very specialized as opposed to like the general practitioners of, the 17 and 1800s. I do a lot of employment law, commercial litigation. I do criminal defense. So I do both civil and criminal work. And then I do a lot of contract negotiation, drafting, review in connection with my MMA, work.
Now, I had also heard that you became later on, I believe, a certified NFL agent.
Yes. So I forget how many years into my practice, and this is sort of how I moved into MMA representation. Just because of my employment law work and work with contracts and just love of sports and the NFL, I applied to be a contract advisor, an agent. They call it NFL Players Association contract advisor is the official term. but a sports agent. And so I went down to DC. I took the course, took the exam, which was surprisingly pretty challenging, but passed that. And then it was like, okay, now how do you get clients? Who wants to sign up with a brand new solo agent with no experience? It was very, very difficult. And it was difficult, one, because a lot of the top athletes are attracted to the glitz and the glam of the big fancy agencies that also can support a lot of these athletes financially through their camps. I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
And I also played by the rules. I hate to say that I'm in a minority in the sports agency business by playing by the rules, but I would do research. I would target an athlete that I thought was really interesting and had potential, and I would contact that school's compliance office, and I would fill out really annoying forms.
Right.
And then I would register with the state and pay a fee. I wouldn't hang out by the field or pay someone to hang out by the field and show them a Rolex that I'm wearing, right? So with that said, I still started to build a client base, and it was really, really fun. I mean, I loved talking with these student athletes, learning about them, helping them achieve their goal of getting on a team, and was able to do that with some of them. The one, probably the pivot when I realized this just wasn't going to work, because I'm not a quitter by nature, but I think sometimes you need to make smart decisions, is I had a path to someone who was at one point was even named as the #1 pick in the draft. Okay. Wow. Person later was drafted number 15. But I had a connection.
Can I ask who it is?
I feel weird saying.
Okay, you can tell me maybe after.
Yeah.
Or not at all.
Oh, I'll tell you. Okay. It was Star Lotulelei. It was a defensive tackle for Carolina.
When was this?
I forget the year it was. It was.
I remember that name.
Late, maybe 2008 to 2010. It's a rough guess.
Okay, right? Interesting.
I had a friend who was close friends with him that played on the team with him. I flew across the country for the meeting where we were going to get to know each other, and it was like obvious he was going to sign with me. Like, that was the idea. Went out there, had a great time with this friend. We went to breakfast, didn't show up. No call.
Wow.
Even to his friend, no call. Didn't hear from him for days. And then apparently he talked to him later on and said, listen, I feel terrible about this, and I'm sure your guy is great, but I have a family, and I need to train for the combine. I really have no issue when I flip the side, and I need to be taken care of and supported financially as I train for the combine and get ready for my career, my life. So, listen, it was a little hurtful the way it all went down, but I also understand I couldn't do that for him, right? And he needed to do that, and maybe in large part because of that, he had a great NFL career. But I thought to myself, listen, if I can't get a client with such a connect like this, maybe this isn't going to work for me,
Is that crushing for you at the time?
Yeah.
Because you said you're not a quitter by nature.
Yeah, I think it was upsetting. I was really excited about this. This was going to be really my chance to really get involved at a high level and help someone at a high level and negotiate big deals. And that was exciting. But during this time, this little NFL journey, the guys I was training with and the coaches started to look to me and say, hey, Dave, how come you're not representing us? We could use some help. And some of them were actually in some tricky contract situations at the time too. And I said, I don't know why I'm not helping you. Sure. Right. And I started doing it. And when I say doing it, it was so early on, kind of like in the MMA representation world, that I just kind of used the skills I used as an attorney to represent people in contract negotiations or in litigations or in disputes, and just learn the field, made contacts with promoters and with the commissions, and just tried to support these athletes kind of in every aspect of their life so they could focus on sleep, training, nutrition, their family. And I started having success, meaning helping them get out of bad contracts, get into good contracts, have success as athletes as they grew their career. And then I eventually kind of made it a formal part of my practice in representing combat sports athletes. And I would say that I don't want to put down any of the work. fortunate to do what I do. But I would say that and teaching at New York Law School are two things that I love the most.
Thank you so much for watching this video. If you haven't done so already, please make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Instagram at felix.levine, and if you have something to say, please leave a comment.